Donations in kind, particularly this store at West Footscray and stores like it in other states, is all about saving goods from landfill. Effectively, everything that you see in this store would have found its way into a rubbish tip at some point, and it's still capable of being used. So it's a classical example of the circular economy at work. Hospital beds that would otherwise go to a metal recycler are finding their way to hospitals in Africa or in Timor or in the Pacific Islands, where they have another full life ahead of them, really working with the people in those countries because they need them quite desperately. That's very true of the hospitals in Africa. We've seen the reports that come back from the recipients of these beds, where if the beds had not been delivered, they'd be sleeping on the floor. That's not a particularly good situation for somebody who's recovering from surgery or illness at all. That's certainly the case with hospital equipment, and it's the same with school desks and chairs. Many of those school desks and chairs have been recovered from schools that have received budgets for new furniture, and they would have found their way to the tip if they'd have not come into donations in kind and had another new life in Timor or in the Pacific Islands, also in Africa. Today we've got 15 volunteers working at the store. 10 of them are filling a container going to Tanzania to a school project over there for a Rotary Club, and that container has 60 double desks and 120 chairs and a variety of other school equipment as well. So you can see that it's across the whole spectrum of medical, of education. We also send obviously computers and clothing and things like that, and in the case of the clothing, all of that is new clothing. There'll be end of line supplies, there'll be last season's stock, but the point of fact is it's all brand new. We're not just sending somebody else's used clothing to these kids in Africa, they're getting new clothing. And that's one of the delightful things about donations in kind. It's a classical example of the circular economy at work. It's supported significantly by the hospitals here in Victoria, by retailers and manufacturers and importers of clothing, and certainly it's well supported by the Education Department in letting schools know where they can get rid of their desks and chairs when they're going through a budget upgrade. This is a good location to avoid paying gym fees, because what we're doing is lifting boxes and beds and desks and chairs all the time. But the real payoff is when we get the letters and photos back from the countries that receive these goods. The photos of a hospital ward in Somaliland or Ethiopia or Uganda being transformed, I should say, from what is basically a pretty grotty room into a fair dinkum hospital ward. Seeing the smile on the kids' faces when they're sitting on a chair at a desk where previously they were sitting on the floor. They're the things that really make working at Donations in Kind worthwhile.
I come to Donations in Kind because I enjoy the work here and it feels like I'm actually doing something to contribute.